All right, everybody, let's get in the seats and kick this off. Like Peter said, my name's Cameron. I'm the Vice President of Sales at HasOffers, representing both HasOffers and mobile app tracking. I'm really excited to introduce this panel. Really, the idea behind this panel is to get a very wide array of how publishers work in the space. So we have a couple of companies that work very similarly, some that are a little bit different. And a lot of the questions are going to be around how publishers are reacting to the mobile space. What do the ad units look like? What are the metrics that publishers use? And how do these companies actually leverage that to drive better content for advertisers? So without further ado, we'll start off introducing Matthias Lesch. And he is the Managing Director of CROBO. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and CROBO?
Thanks, Cameron. Yeah, welcome everybody. My name is Matthias Lesch. I'm one of the co-founders of CROBO. CROBO, we started off CROBO last year in August, so actually next month or in August will be our first anniversary. We bootstrapped the company like from starting it off with 2 people to around about 34 people actually right now. And we just had this tremendous growth over the last 12 months. CROBO is basically a performance game network specialized only in games, online games, social games, mobile games. We are coming from the background working in the industries for the last 6 to 7 years in the field of games. We originally started off by just operating a whole bunch of German and European gaming sites. And then at one point we just realized that we have all the contacts and the knowledge about the industry, and we just using it for our own inventories. That's basically when we started thinking about opening up a network. Yeah, what makes us different from all the networks out there? It's like we're purely focusing on games. We're using our own technology to target and really attract the high rollers to gaming advertisers. We give them, like, we try to give them at least, and I think that's a good way where we're going, or what helped us growing a lot is like we try to give them the most transparency out there, like really trying connecting both sides, publisher, traffic channels, and advertisers. Yeah, that's basically what CROBO does.
Perfect, thank you. Next panelist I'd like to introduce is Florian Lehwald. He's also from Germany. The last 3 are not, I promise. So Florian is the CEO and founder of KissMyAds, and that is ADS, not ASS. So, Florian.
Yeah. Thank you, Cam. Yeah, as Cam already mentioned, I'm the CEO and founder of KissMyAds. We are a mobile affiliate network. We do what all the other affiliate networks do in the online world, strictly on mobile. We have a lot of premium SMS services going around the world, and we're also doing apps now. But our main business is premium SMS and subscription services, especially in Asia and Southern America. And yeah, we started 3 years ago when I found HasOffers via Google, and then I met Cameron some months later, and we're doing a great business with HasOffers. And yeah, we're located in Cologne in Germany. We're opening an office in Singapore in January, and another office in New York in the middle of next year. And yeah, that's basically it.
Perfect, thank you. The next panelist, Edan Portaro, EVP of Global Business Development at uSamp.
Morning. United Sample is a technology company that's both web and mobile based. We sell access to consumers. We build consumer panels for market research. Our clients are the Fortune 1000. We've moved from the web platform to mobile about 18 months ago. It's the future of market research as we see it. Again, our clients are the Fortune 1000. And we build panels globally. We're represented in about 120 different countries. We have over 15 million people in our panels, and we recruit about 20,000 people a day to sign up to these market research panels with the likes of companies like these guys. So happy to be here, and thank you.
Thanks, Edan. John Cosgrove, Director of Performance Campaigns at Tapit by Funware.
Tapit started originally a little over 2 years ago. We started primarily to become one of the first.
Can you get a little closer to the mic?
Is this better?
Sort of.
We started a little over 2 years ago with the goal to become the performance-based ad network. We were acquired just last year, December 28th, by Funware, who is an enterprise application solution. The entire goal of Tapit is just to really put power in the hands of the publishers as far as providing them insight that they wouldn't get elsewhere. And we're just excited with the new resources we gained from the latest acquisition.
All right, thank you. Last and certainly not least, we have Pepe Agell, and he is in charge of business development and operations at Chartboost.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm Pepe, and I lead the international expansion at Chartboost. Chartboost is a company that builds technology for mobile game developers. We want to empower entrepreneurs in this space and help them build solid businesses. And that for us means 4 things, actually. We started offering them tools to do internal cross-promotion, so everything that happens within their portfolio. Also direct deals, which is the ability to partner directly with other game developers to buy, exchange, or sell traffic. And then a network of only games where you can drive discoverability and monetization. And our 4th product that it's recently launched on beta is the store, which empowers entrepreneurs in this space to build the infrastructure of an in-app store. So we have a set of tools to help them distribute and monetize their games.
Awesome, thank you so much. So just to jump into the topics, the first thing I just wanted to get a sense from each of you is, since you've entered the mobile space, I know some of you guys have gone from desktop to mobile, some of you have started mobile first. How has the publisher ecosystem evolved? And just to clarify, we're going to use the word publisher a lot, and I know that it's kind of interchangeable in our industries. So we're talking about the people that are actually driving the traffic to ads, to surveys, whatever it might be. So Matthias, why don't you hop in and just talk about how you first entered mobile and how it's really changed and how the publisher relationships have changed.
Yeah, thanks, Cameron.
And if all of you can just swallow the mic, just swallow
it. Basically, CROBO coming from online, it was a long way for us to get started on mobile, because it's the mobile environment is, on one side it's so different, but on the other side there's a lot of similarities. So we just recently saw a lot of things we can use, we already using in mobile metrics we can use, basically, for example, with our bigger clients we're tracking in-app events, which we did before. We tracked we had different multi-level pixels integrated with our advertisers on the online side. So coming towards mobile, we're seeing there is a need for more targeted ads, and this is also what makes it so difficult to actually get it started and get it started right. So this is basically what is the biggest challenge for us to explain the advertisers on that. There has to be, in order to run long-term campaigns, it is really difficult for them, or it is important for them to see that it's really playing out or working out for them, having a return on investment, instead of what we saw at the beginning, 6, 7, 8 months ago, advertisers just being in there, just wanting the traffic, and then afterwards, after 2 or 3 months, we're realizing that a campaign is suddenly not working out. It's not worth it. Yeah? So this is the challenge we're having, and I think being in the online field for a couple of years and having all these metrics and kind of knowing what the advertisers, especially in the field of gaming, are interested in and what they really need, helps us a lot to compensate growth and to grow even faster in mobile for us now.
Great. Florian, I think that you started in online advertising in 1995, right?
That's right. Yeah.
How's that evolution changed from driving traffic to the sites that you were building back in the day to now being very mobile focused?
Yeah, yeah, I think it's pretty equal. if you're doing online advertising, you know the metrics on how to target people and how to reach the right audience and how to get them on your sites. And at the moment, it's just switching to other devices with smaller screens, and you can get the user in the bed, on the toilet, in the bus, and there are so much possibilities to reach a user on a mobile phone or on a tablet. So basically, it's the same, but there are just way more possibilities to get the user now.
Great. Eden, I know that you have a really interesting use case, just how you transition.
We come from, we're web first. In our user acquisition strategy, we run nearly 100 different websites, and those websites are dedicated to what we call cohorts. So if we're looking for a specific type of individual, a mom with children, or a gamer, or a business person, we have dedicated websites that we drive traffic to. We were able to take all of that learning from the web over the last 5 years or so and drive it into the mobile space. Lucky for us, a lot of our publishers that we're using for our traffic acquisition strategies moved to mobile at the same time we did, so we have those relationships embedded. They understand our metrics. Our metrics are very defined. We don't waver from them. So we understand very quickly if traffic is going to work out for us or not, and we can turn it on or turn it off. And also in our world, we try to do what's called just-in-time recruitment. If you know anything about consumer panels, there's a lot of attrition that goes hand in hand with that. People don't stick around. So it's not prudent for us to spend the money to recruit somebody and have them wait for a study to come along. So we can go out and acquire the traffic right away. And we've learned to do that on the web, or when the study comes up, we learned to do that on the web, and then we've applied that to mobile. And it's a murky space, but thankfully we've got a lot of metrics from the last 5 years that have helped us to bridge the gap.
Great. John, same question. How have you noticed mobile publishers engaging and running campaigns, and how has that differed maybe from your experience in website?
Initially, I started from a background of web development, then started moving over to mobile development, and just noticed the general trend going to mobile. It was always just a very exciting industry. So when I got into mobile advertising a little over 2 years ago, it was entirely different than it was, or than it is now. The part that was so exciting was just because it's on, too close now. It's on the bleeding edge of technology, right? It's always evolving, always changing. And just from when starting, the limited amount of data that was really available to the publishers out there as compared to what's available now, the insight that's there, where it's not necessarily the Wild West anymore, it's just a more focused, more mainstream way to reach your audience. And the metrics and the way you have to go about reaching them has evolved since then. And it's exciting to watch.
Perfect. We know something about metrics and postbacks, right? Like that's what it's all about, is getting the data back to the publisher. Pepe, mobile publishers.
Yeah, well, that's all I can speak about because Chartboost has always been on the mobile gaming space. We've never done any advertising on web. Actually, so Chartboost was born from a gaming development experience, right? Sean and Maria were founders, and the original team at Chartboost were at Tapit before. And they made games, and they struggled with some of the pain points that developers had at that time. So the vision of Chartboost was to change ways advertising was made. The main challenge was transparency, and we're going to talk about the metrics that we care today, right? But advertising was basically a black box where you, as an advertiser, just put some money in, and you hope to get some users in return. And the same from the publishing side. There was no control over what was being shown on your games. And also in terms of format, it was a very young industry when we started a little bit more than 2 years ago. Formats were pretty bad, actually pretty ugly. They disturbed the user experience. And I think that publishers have changed not only on the level of transparency that they're requesting today, but also the way they A/B test, the way they care about the format, because they've realized that advertising is an important part of their business model, and it doesn't need to sacrifice user experience, right? So that's for me the main change that I've seen on the publishing side. And it's funny because when we started, I saw two main business models. Publishers were either making money only on advertising, or in-app purchases, right? I'm only talking about freemium. And now what we've seen is that with the set of tools that we're providing them, they're going towards the middle, to a mix model. And that's something I've seen in the last year, probably, where because they realize that advertising can be part of the gameplay if you do it in the right way, they're going towards a mix model where they're monetizing paying users through in-app purchases, but then the rest of the user base is carefully monetized through advertising.
Great. That's interesting. So we start talking about the gameplay of a publisher, right, in the gaming space, and how that actually is engaging the user for another brand. So we're talking advertisers, we're talking publishers. How do you guys prioritize the demands of both those different partners? Do you move when the advertiser says jump, move, or do you jump when the publisher says jump?
Well, whoops. So from the eyes of Chartboost, we offer a single SDK, and that allows you to do everything. So for me, the most important, I don't talk about advertisers or publishers, I just talk about game developers. And for me, the most important thing is that the app is integrated on our ecosystem, right? Obviously, you need to take care of the balance between advertisers and publishers, but the reality is that most of our big players are doing both at the same time in different, for example, it depends on the geography. They know which countries monetize the best, and these are the countries where they're spending on user acquisition, and they know which countries have high traffic, but traffic that doesn't monetize. And then they explore publishing opportunities on those regions.
Great. Thanks for bearing with us on the audio adjustments here, too. Anybody else, can you speak to that? Like, how do you prioritize what the advertisers might be asking for running a campaign versus what the publishers are really looking for in order to drive better results?
We are doing it a little different. For myself, my clients are my publishers because they are driving the traffic. At least the advertisers are paying the bill. But when a publisher is having traffic in a certain region or country or something, we try to get advertisers with products specific for those regions or countries, and at the end I have to make my publishers happy because they are bringing us the traffic and they're bringing us the money, and therefore my clients are the publishers.
I'm on your side, Florian, as well. I mean, Chartboost has always been on the publishing side, and this is how we've been able to create that tremendous developer base, and that's ultimately positive for the advertisers, right?
Yeah.
But we've always been on the publisher side too.
Yeah.
Great. Do any of you guys differ in where the advertiser is really driving the content or the different publishers that are going to be driving the traffic?
Yeah, I guess we're doing it a little different in a way, in most of the ways similar to them, but like still kind of special. Since we try to deliver best quality service to both sides, actually, obviously we have to care a lot about our advertisers. Like they trust us. They're really like at least they have the expectation from us that we are really specialized in the field of gaming. So we have to really carefully see what works for them, what kind of placement works for them, what kind of traffic works for them. And also, we all the time have to watch, like coming deeper and deeper into mobile, and especially what Pepe also said, like having on the publisher side, like lots of gaming, actually advertising clients from us, driving traffic through other products. We have to also watch that and see that there's no conflict of interest, yeah, between advertising and publisher side. So that's kind of what we're in between, the middleman, trying to satisfy both sides.
Great. Yeah, it really sounds like it's segmentation and being able to identify the best user for the advertiser, and then building a publisher strategy around that and finding the right publishers that are going to be able to drive that content based off of location, demographic, and general interests. I guess to each of you, and maybe John, do you want to start on this? What does Tapit and Funware really provide that allows the publishers to leverage the data and drive the best traffic for your advertisers?
As I mentioned before, we started off with the intent of being the performance advertising network. What this meant is that we went into it wanting to provide right out the door the absolute most amount of data that you could possibly pass back, most amount of insight you could see from where you're running the traffic. So we made available plenty of macros. This is just a plethora of macros. So you could see exactly where you're running down to the version of the operating system, just every piece of data you could possibly need to optimize. And what this did is not only make it clear to see what was working and where it was working, but it allowed them to really maximize the amount that they were able to bid, the amount they were able to put into the campaign. And this really backed out on both ends for them and for our developers, because they're able to get the maximum for their traffic, and our publishers were happy because they're able to get the right kind of traffic that they need at the price they need it.
Great, thank you. Anybody else? Is there anything specific, any tools that you're giving your publishers that that allow them to essentially make money and make money for you? Eden, I think that you have an interesting.
So we flipped the model. I mean, I'm an advertiser first, so but we do. I mean, for the transparency that we'd expect from guys like these, we also provide that. A lot of the ways that most of the way that I compensate my traffic sources or the publishers is in a deferred revenue scheme. So when people or publishers send me traffic, I pay them every time one of the individuals that they send to me performs an action. And by virtue of having to do that, or wanting to do that mostly, we give a lot of information back to the publishers so they understand exactly how their traffic is performing. I know that they're all applied with tools to track and monitor what's going on, but we have a team of individuals, half of them are sitting out here in the audience today, that are always available for the publishers to talk about the performance of their traffic. It's important for us for them to understand how things are performing on our platform.
Great. So I think that this is a good opportunity to open up the transparency discussion, right? Because it's about sharing what the advertiser's main goal is, and how do they provide that information back to the publisher so the publishers can really optimize the campaign. So we've talked a lot about data points. How do you guys handle that transparency relationship without giving away your added value as being a network or anything along those lines?
Yeah, that's really something we thought we had a couple of thoughts about, and that's a field where you have to be really, really carefully, because on one side, the advertiser connections are really important, and you want to value them, and you want to give them the most and best transparency you can offer, obviously to satisfy the client. Clients like EA, like Kabam, like Ubisoft, they're not willing to advertise in a black box anymore, like Pepe said. Like they used to do in the years back. So trying to find a solution for that, we shifted towards a model that we use our based on the HasOffers tracking technology and the MAT integration. We build our own technology interface on top of that, trying to gather as many data as possible. Like also on the post-install data and post-install data and post-registration data. And we're feeding that data back to over our interface to the publisher side in order for them to also on their side rate the traffic sources and classify them in terms of is it an affiliate, is it an SEM, is it SEM traffic, is it display traffic, is it incentivized pop-up. And we're feeding that information then again back to the advertiser side. So giving them the most possible transparency without giving them actually the names of our publishing traffic sources. And that model has been working extremely good for us, because it's like you really help the advertiser optimize their campaigns. Yeah? And that, I think that's the way to do. That should be the goal of an gaming network.
Great, yeah. Florian, transparency. How does that work in KissMyAds ecosystem?
Yeah, as I already mentioned, my clients are the publishers, and most of my publishers don't even tell me where they're getting their traffic from. So if an advertiser really wants to know where he's getting his traffic from, we can offer him to give him certain groups of publishers where we know that they are buying traffic on several networks or having their own apps or things like that. But we never give out the names of the publishers because we are the middleman and they can connect without us as well. But especially with brands, we discovered that they want to know where they are running, and yeah, if they are kind of flexible, we can work with them. If they are not, we have to change one character in our name.
Oops, sorry. So for us, transparency is really core. This is actually why we started Chartboost, right? And basically, for me, transparency means data, like what you, John, you were saying. It means everything related to the install, geographical data, device data, to the publisher, and also to an app level, right? This is something we've been providing since the very beginning of Chartboost because we couldn't find a solution out there that gave us information about app to app, right? And in the end, the main KPI, what we're trying to build a business here. So the main KPI is revenues, no matter in which side you are. If you're an advertiser, you want to maximize ROI. If you're a publisher, you want to maximize revenues, right? And the eCPM, in this case, it's an important metric, right? Because it tells you about not only how much the advertiser is willing to pay per install, but also what's the click-through rate, the install rate, the overall conversion. And that tells you a lot about the way two different apps resonate together, or in our case, it's only games. And that KPI has been crucial. And we want to provide both the advertiser and the publisher information about each one of the apps. So to see how many impressions, clicks, installs, and the device IDs that you're getting at an app level, because that's the most powerful tool you have. You need to select what valuable sources are out there as an advertiser, and you need to reserve your inventory to valuable advertisers if you're a publisher. And we had a vision, but we didn't know exactly if that would work. And the direct deals part of our platform got us a little bit scared in the beginning. A lot of people told us that that wouldn't work. That we were killing ourselves with a solution that allowed developers to partner directly without paying anything to Chartboost. And that's been proved that it works. And we do have a lot of developers partnering because of that level of transparency, because they know that at an app level, they work well, and that these sources are valuable, or on the other side, this advertiser is converting very well. And that's been great. And actually, I don't think direct deals kills the network that we have. It's just a complementary tool to maximize revenues again, which for me is the main metric that everyone is looking for.
Great. Edan, transparency, how's that working?
Yeah, it's important for me, especially when I'm wearing my advertiser hat. I mean, I want to understand the traffic sources. I know that all traffic's not created equal. So if these guys can give me more transparency and help me understand what sources of traffic are converting, I can run a better economic model on my side. I have no interest in disintermediating these guys. They're built to go out and manage the traffic sources. I'm not built that way. So I rely on these guys to help me understand where the traffic's coming from and to nurture that traffic and help me run a better business.
Does anybody else have any comments on transparency?
It's kind of interesting because we look at it from a little bit of a backwards way. Because we're a traffic source and we have direct relationships with tons of developers, we not only have to keep the publishers happy with their insight, but also have to provide insight back to our developers. So it's almost a double-edged sword as far as providing a massive amount of data. People can either get overwhelmed with the data, or they can take it and use it, just like was mentioned, to kind of cut you out as the middleman. But as it progresses, it kind of, what we've seen so far is if you become a valuable enough resource to use, you don't have to worry about them cutting out the middleman. So they'll keep using you for the data, for the resource tools you provide. And so far it's been working out pretty well. It allows us to not only let our developers know what geos are working the most effective, where we need more traffic, where we can get them the best payouts, as well as keep our publishers happy because they're going to know exactly where they need to be running, exactly what's working for them, and it's mutual growth.
So really it's tools and the relationships that's bridging the advertisers to the publishers that's still allowing you to play a valuable piece in that ecosystem. Yeah, and at any time somebody could go and realize I have enough information now to go out and make my direct buy and cut you out, but you just kind of hope they don't. Great.
I actually have a comment and a question, because for us, developer relationships are very important as well. We are partnering with game developers only, and that fosters transparency, because in the end, the connection is direct. But I don't know if you guys are working with external networks or with DSPs, SSPs, and how do you handle these relationships to guarantee that transparency is there, or that level of transparency, if I may?
We tried to work with other affiliate networks, and we had the problem that there is no transparency. They just send over all the traffic with one affiliate ID, so we can't see if one of their affiliates is sending traffic that is not clean. And then we tried them to force them to send out or send us affiliate IDs from their network to cluster the traffic. At the end, sometimes it works, sometimes not, and if it doesn't work, we just have to shut them down.
That's basically the way we're doing it as well. Like clustering, labeling the different affiliate IDs, trying it out, optimizing it on a daily basis, and I mean, there's like you said, Pepe, at the end it comes down to revenue. Like giving the advertisers a good feeling about it, giving them the most transparency we can actually give them, and at the same time trying to make it work for them. So I think transparency is really good, but it gets you until a certain level, but then at the end it comes all down to if a campaign is really working. The best transparency and the knowledge they have and data they collect about where placements are running is nothing worse without having the actual results. Yeah? So at the end it comes down to the revenue and what the advertiser returns, what his return on the marketing invest. So we're trying to do that and optimize it, and I think that's where the purpose of a network is. So that works very well.
So you almost have to ask for pure transparency from the publisher as well, and it sounds like that's a requirement.
We're doing that as well. We're doing that on a daily basis. We're using latest technology to actually exactly see where placements are running, and we're giving that data, like partially also back to the advertisers in order to give them like a real insight in, hey, this is the ads our affiliates use. This is the way they attract the users. Is that the message you really want to come across? Is that the right target group? And I think that's the only way to guarantee on a long-term basis that you can satisfy clients like a EA, like a Kabam, and scale up business together with them.
Great. So we've talked a lot about transparency and how you guys manage your publisher relationships. I kind of want to put it back on where you see the publishers evolving in this space. So how are they engaging with users? What kind of ad units are they using? And is that something that the advertisers are also trying to drive and collaborate with? Or is it really the publishers getting creative and finding new ways to engage users on mobile?
I think it's totally driven by publishers, right? As I said, especially developers that are taking this profession seriously. Their game is their baby, right? And they care about quality. They care about the gameplay. They care about the rhythm, and that ultimately will affect the revenues as well. But especially, it's the fun, right? Where at least in our industry, which is gaming focus, it's really the fun, and that's also that has an impact on the formats. We only do interstitials because we believe that they can be customized in the right way. Publishers can add elements of their game around the actual ad unit, and that creates a feeling of suggestion instead of an advertisement. And that for us is totally driven by the publisher. And also, even more, we've had publishers exploring even deeper integrations, like on newspapers, on boards that they have within the game, where instead of just using a pop-up, they're fully integrating the advertising experience or the suggestion experience within their game.
Great. What other methods do some of your publishers use to engage that might be unique?
As I already mentioned, I don't even know where the traffic is coming from. I know that the publishers are the creative guys who build mobile sites or build apps and buy traffic in certain networks we never heard about. To be honest, I don't know what they are doing. I just know that they are driving traffic, and since we are performance-based, this traffic converts. And as long as the advertiser is doing money with it, the publisher can do whatever he wants because they know how to do it, and they find the creative ways to drive traffic to mobile applications at the moment.
I will say from an advertiser's perspective, what Pepe was talking about, we're seeing way better conversions in the ecosystem that he fosters. The banner on mobile doesn't seem to convert for us very well, but when the advertisement is integrated in a fashion that Pepe described, the conversions are just off the charts.
Yeah, what we've noticed as far as that goes, because the banners have been around so long, because text has been around so long, the units are evolving, the ad units are evolving. As different systems come out, as different features come out, we've been developing different units that are more engaging, such as the interstitial units, things that tie into the app better, alert ads, just things that drive not only better engagement, but better return for not only the publishers and the advertisers. I mean, there's no more flashing ads. They're going to start disappearing. So as everything starts getting a lot more mainstream and a lot more acceptable, not only the networks, the advertisers, the publishers, they all have to get a little bit more innovative as far as how to keep their units engaging and how to keep their ads really engaging to the users.
Yeah, just going back to the mobile device and what Florian was alluding to earlier, you have it with you everywhere, and it's a very personal system where a desktop or a PC is personal, but it's sitting on your desk, so you're doing one thing usually when you're actually seeing ads. I think the evolution of SMS messaging and push notifications and re-engagement is really driving how new publishers can actually engage with somebody on a one-to-one level wherever they are. Do any of you guys use any kind of push notifications or SMSs in engaging consumers?
We don't have a product for that. We don't have a product for that. I'm a little bit skeptical from a user perspective. I'm just speaking on behalf of Pepe. I see a lot of ads push notifications and even Facebook advertising on the notifications page that are disturbing for me.
I think an important comment on that is that you have to watch it. It's like it comes down to trying it out and see if it works for you. So we do have a really strong publisher base, doing all kinds of traffic, trying all kinds of sources of traffic, also push notifications. So we try to be very, very transparent to the advertisers about that, and also tell them, hey, this is a partner. He does actually drive traffic to your game over push notifications. So please give us a daily feedback on how it's working out for you. If it's not working, we will stop it immediately. So if it's working for you partially, we will try out different products, we try out different pricing models, like different level of engagement, also to value the traffic sources after their quality. And I think you cannot basically say it's not working or it's nothing for you. You have to. It's all about trying it out. Try it. If it works, it works. If it's not working for you, stop it. It's like that's definitely the better approach than just not going for it at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like the mobile space and speaking of gaming, I think it's a little bit different. But when you start looking at utility or travel or dating type apps. I think Peter alluded to this a little bit in the opening remarks, is that the CPI, or the install, is almost a lead gen tool now. It's going back to the CPL days on the web. Re-engagement seems to be a hot topic, not necessarily for games, but for those utility apps. If a publisher is able to geofence somebody in and identify that they're walking into a mall and you can push a coupon or something along those lines, I think that publishers are starting to evolve more in utilizing that singular device and knowing where you are and being able to target you. So with that said, Pepe, I believe you guys work on a cost per install basis.
CPC and CPI.
CPC, CPI, and ultimately looking at eCPMs.
Right.
Does anybody here run any re-engagement campaigns? So after the install, are you compensating publishers for something that they're getting the user to re-engage in an app or on a mobile website?
Yeah, we are doing hybrid campaigns. We are normally CPA or CPI based. And with some advertisers, we tried re-engagement campaigns, like there's a small CPI that is paid on the installation, and whenever a user, for example, reaches the second level of a game, there's a bigger commission paid to the publisher as well.
Great. John, do you guys do any re-engagement or anything, or is it mostly CPI that you guys are running?
We don't have a product for re-engagement. There's some publishers who are using our technology to do re-engagement campaigns, and that can be done internally. So they use our internal cross-promotion engine, which is free, to, instead of promoting a new app to the App Store or taking the user to the App Store, they take them to the in-app store or to whatever newsletter or whatever item they want to promote. So we do have these internally. And then we do have re-engagement campaigns at a direct deal level. So there are developers that are partnering with doing exclusion and inclusion lists of devices that already own that app. And basically, these are CPC deals as well, because obviously there's no install. So normally these agreements are based on the clicks that one publisher is able to drive to the advertiser. But we don't have a specific re-engagement product.
Great, thank you. One thing that I just wanted to ask, because it's definitely a hot topic and it's personally identifiable information. Since you guys are really acting, a lot of you are acting as a middleman between the advertiser and publisher. How are you guys positioning yourself to stay compliant and really educate your publishers on what they should and shouldn't be doing?
Good question.
And silence.
Right, no. I mean, we don't track anything personal. We don't know who the user is, so all we have are device IDs. Obviously, that's a little bit complicated when it comes to childs and the COPA law. In that case, what we have, publishers can opt out from behavioral targeting. That means that we cannot pass any device ID to third parties. You can still run CPC, CPI campaigns, but you won't get those device IDs because we cannot pass them. With that, just by tracking device IDs, we're absolutely compliant, and we educate a lot. We have a good legal counselor, and we actually do workshops for our publishers about this.
Great. What about the German folks? Probably the most highly regulated country in the world.
Yeah. It's pretty difficult in Germany, but we are trying to educate our publishers. We've got good lawyers, and at the end, or it's necessary for us to get the information back from the advertiser. If there's something that was not compliant, we can just get it from the advertiser, and then we have to block a publisher or talk to the publisher to do it in a different way.
Great.
It's basically, it comes down to finding a way around, a workaround about the legal restrictions in Germany, and having still the possibility to collect as much data as we actually need to have in order to optimize campaigns. So that is indeed a little hard within Germany, but I think we're still managing it.
Yeah. From my perspective, the people making the rules don't really understand what marketers are using information for, and it's really just to be more relevant to the end user and not actually be invasive. I want to thank everybody for the insight. I really want to take a couple moments and open this up to the crowd to do Q&A. anybody that might be new to the mobile publishing space or just have questions about how their business is run, Peter will run out and hand the mic off to you, and hopefully we won't get too much feedback. I mean, we want feedback from you, not the mic.
I have one question for you guys. Sorry, I'm Todd Hooper from Unity. You guys talked a lot about innovation in new sorts of ad units like interstitials and push, most of which is outside IAB standards. If you had to choose on the side of standards that advertisers enforce versus innovating with stuff that works, where do you guys fall on that spectrum?
As far as sticking with standard ads, you obviously are going to offer all the standard ads, but when it comes to innovating new ad units, most of the time the ad units will come out, and then the more they're widely accepted, the more they're used, the more they're proven and proven to be acceptable, then they'll be adopted, usually as a standard unit. I know several units out there that aren't necessarily standard units, but are very widely requested just because they work, they're compliant, people enjoy them, and no one finds too much offense to them yet.
For us, it's basically, that's where our work starts really kicking in, and that's where we have to, especially on the advertiser side, we have to convince our clients, because like basically the bigger ones, some of them they're running over agencies, and agencies usually stick to EAP standards and standard ads that have been proven that they can measure, and that's where we actually have to do a really hard job in convincing them that they are, like, it's not only the standard ads that perform. Yeah, we're way past that level already. So this is really where it comes down to our sales. Yeah, in order to convince them, try it out, we will optimize it together with you, and we are pretty sure that it works out for you guys.
Hi guys, I have a quick question about the guys that said they're mostly a middleman. What are you guys doing to prevent fraud, and what are you guys seeing publishers are trying to fraud the system with?
Yeah, we see a lot of fraud, and I'm always interested in fraud because I want to understand how it works. But to prevent it, we don't have any possibilities to find out what's fraud and what's not fraud. So we talk to the advertisers very often, and the advertiser is the only one who can tell us if the traffic that converted was correct or was not correct. And if I get a notice that some kind of traffic wasn't clean, I try to find out which publisher sent this traffic, try to find out how he did it, and then I have to ask him to stop it. And maybe I try it myself.
That's basically what we do as well. Getting in a little more deeper in that we actually try to replicate fraud in some cases. So we have an own IT team that really works on intensively on looking at fraud and looking at what actually is it that made it possible to actually get the install, and not seeing it, not letting it seen the advertiser in the first place, or letting us detect it in the first place. So that's definitely a topic where we're getting better and better from day to day actually. And what we currently do a lot is like look at the placements, look at the once we have the feedback from the advertiser that it's not working out, that he doesn't see any activity rate, that he thinks it's a bot. Something like that. We really go in deep and look at it and try to solve that in order to actually build our in-house systems in a way that we can get better and better in preventing fraud.
Yeah, I'd like to add, having a closed network of only games actually reduces fraud, and we have normally a good relationship with our partners. But then, obviously, when you grow and you have over 10,000 developers, it's very hard to know them all. We do have a person which has the best job in the world in our company, which is just testing our games. And especially, we do it from an analytical point of view. We're tracking trends. If we know that our average click-through rate is 10%, and suddenly we see a spike, we go for that guy, right? And we test the game. We make sure that it's not incentivized, that it's not using any fraudulent method, right? But we do have a person fully dedicated to the quality of the network.
So hello, my name is Pat Murphy. I'm CEO of a company called Vega Performance Marketing. One of the clients we work largely with is Microsoft product groups. Microsoft and other large brands very interested in the issue of fraud and the prevention of fraud. So I'm going to stick on the fraud topic for a moment. So a general question, and not just for the two gentlemen on the left that are running blind through networks, but the question for all of you. Is there an inherent conflict between the strategy of working through blind networks and not having that transparency by the advertiser and solving the bane of the performance marketing industry, which is the propensity for fraud? And the reason I want you to address your attempts to prevent fraud and to identify fraud, and whether really you can put any amount of resources in place that ultimately would solve the problem without going to a strategy of full transparency.
I'll actually speak to that because I see a lot of different networks that are running, and I think that it might not necessarily be full transparency. And I think that everybody's kind of indicated this here, that if you have transparency with your publisher from a network standpoint and you have transparency with the advertiser, you as the middleman can help eliminate it by finding those trends. So even if you are working as a network and you're in the middle and you're not providing transparency from the advertiser to the publisher, it falls on you guys to make sure that if it's identified, that something's done about it, and finding those trends on how that keeps popping up. I don't know if that answered it directly, but
I actually have a thought about that too. When you think about maybe if someone has their own internal media buying group that's actually working with all direct publishers, and say it was all extremely perfectly transparent, there's still someone in the middle that is reporting to their boss that has to determine like that this is working and this is the right relationship, and yeah, that ultimately we're creating value. You know, I do think the cool thing about performance marketing is very much a let the best man win kind of a scenario, where if it's not performing, it's not going to continue. And if it's blowing it over the top, it's not creating real value, so it's going to become obsolete over time as well.
I think it's also very interesting to define what is fraud and what is not fraud. If you've got a freemium game and the advertiser gets several thousand installs and doesn't want a re-engagement campaign, and after a month he tells us the traffic is just junk and the users are not coming back, I would say build a great product and take the users you get and make them happy with the product you want to sell them.
Yeah, just like you were mentioning, it's not always necessarily black and white to identify fraud. Something just could not be performing, could not be working. So the reality of it is there's no 100% way to stop fraud. It's just the tools that you can create, given the fact that you may not have complete transparency, to really identify fraud quickly and stop it as fast as possible. And that's kind of, as far as the middleman goes, what creates a lot of the value there.
Right, yeah. And from a Chartboost perspective, we actually want the developers to also be responsible for that fraud, and have full control over what they're doing. So what I mean with that is that level of transparency, actually, and related to control, allows you to block apps that you see that are doing something suspicious. So, and we've seen advertisers blocking publishers just because they know that that publisher, whatever the app is doing something wrong, right? And so if you tie transparency with control, I think it's the best way to prevent fraud. We have a responsibility as a platform that connects developers, but developers also are responsible for the interactions that they're having between them. And if you give them control tools, they can block each other.
Yeah, and coming back to your question in detail, it's like it's not really a conflict of interest, at least not for me, because it's like being the middleman is you have a great and huge responsibility towards your clients, yeah, and the responsibility goes towards your advertising clients in order to make them to satisfy their needs. So they will most likely, or what is most likely, they will definitely stop the campaign if it's not working for them. And you obviously want to work with them on a long-term basis. At least that's what we're trying to achieve with CROBO. We're not running campaigns for 2 or 3 days. We want to work together with your advertising clients for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, as long as helping you along the way, helping you with several products. And being said that, it's just a way how to compensate on it, how to give you the best feeling about it, how to give you the most transparency without compromising our whole purpose of being there as the middleman.
I'm Steve Clark. I'm a independent consultant for indie developers, helping them with in-app purchase strategy and also on their ad networks. Pepe, you touched on something that I hear very often, and we probably all do, about gamification and integrating the ads so that it enhances the user experience instead of seeing your people delete your app. I was wondering if you could touch on, and anyone else in the panel, with any examples that you have of publishers or games that you see are successful in that.
Yeah, sure. We do have some examples. I really like the integration the cross-promotion integration that Heyday has, promoting Clash of Clans. That's in an element of the game. It's a newspaper, it's a social feature where people go there to buy produce from other users of the game, and suddenly they see an ad, which is a natural aspect of a newspaper. All newspapers have advertising, and they're driving users to another app from Supercell, which is Clash of Clans, right? I like this. I've seen amazing frames on our interstitials. Actually, there's a game developed by a developer from Barcelona and published by Zynga called Respawnables. They're publishing interstitials with an amazing frame. And when I saw them uploading the frame, I went there and I saw their performance. It was 16% average click-through rate when the average on the network, across the network, is 10%. So, and that frame, for example, has elements of the game. It's a shooting game, so they have some of their fighters on the frame, like if they were almost moving around the frame. That's a great example. I remember Fluic had a zombie version of Office Jerk. They had an awesome frame as well with a zombie element, and it was kind of creepy. and these cases have where the content that you're promoting is also tied to the overall look and feel of the game. These are top performing creatives generally.
Thanks. I'm Alan from Supercell. Thanks for a very interesting panel. So I have a questions to the middleman here, or the guys who introduce themselves as middleman. So for an advertiser like us, it's when dealing with blind networks or affiliate networks, it's more than a little challenging at times to understand what is the unique value proposition of each individual one of them. And if you don't even know where your traffic is coming from or what kind of ad unit it is, then like, how do you then distinguish yourself from all the other networks out there?
I think it's all about performance. When you drive a campaign with us and you get good results, that's the best thing which I can use to get you to our network.
I would also mention, like, it's coming down to optimization and then really giving you a good feeling about where we will run your ads and giving the most transparency to you guys in order to find suitable ad placements for you that really work for you. And it's also about trying out new things. Like we talked to a couple of like mobile advertising companies that, and it's always, that's one of the first questions is like, where is your added value? Where is it? What does it? What makes you unique, or what divides you differs you from the rest of the performance networks out there? So that's clearly that we are focused on the gaming field, and we're really we do have an in-house editorial team looking at ads, looking at the games. We can even help you with game monetization if that is a question you were thinking about. We can help you with creating the ads, the right ads. So there's a whole bunch of different extra level service or added value service that we can bring on board. And that makes us unique in that field.
The front row is active today.
Hi, Matt Gallagher from Gator Media. So just a quick question about when you have newer games, say, approach you for traffic, obviously not like a branded or one that's very well known like Candy Crush. They don't need mass installs, right? They need users that convert and make the money. But how often do you guys have newer platforms or new games that approach you for, not fraudulent of course, but cheaper traffic just to inflate their install count, right? I mean, it's almost like a new Facebook page that comes out that has no likes. It's hard to get traction on it at first. So just for the pure fact of increasing the install count to gain recognition or to give people incent to install.
We do have a couple of clients approaching us with like newer clients, like new games, unknown games. The thing is, like, the first thing we always do is like really identify together with the client what is it that he really wants and what is working for him. It's like, it doesn't make sense to like really force attraction by having a burst campaign and then ending up not being able to pay for it because they don't have the money in. So there are a whole bunch of different ways you can do it and services or campaigns you can run. So it really depends on what the client, what the advertising client or developer of the game actually wants. And in most cases we actually try to scale up on a low level and then really step by step optimizing it with them. And then it's not only about having a burst campaign, like getting cheap traffic in order to get the ad store placement, the good rank, but also at the same time really trying to find the right traffic source that works out on a long-term basis.
I've got one last question, and before we dismiss, really this one has a lot to do with where we come into the picture, obviously. What are the biggest challenges around matching and attribution that you guys have and experience with both the advertisers and the publishers? And then the second part of the question, what problems do you have or challenges you see with postbacks, with actually creating that communication to these parties?
I know we're not the easiest network to work with from an external point of view because we have a closed network and data is crucial for us, so our SDK is in charge of attribution. So we're not very open, sorry, on that front. We want to control because we trust our technology, we trust our servers, we want to control the attribution, but we're absolutely open. Everything that we see, we want our partners and third parties to see if the developers want. And this is why we've been working on callback systems that are very open. We can ping any server, it can be your own or a third-party server at every event. It can be at a click with all the information you want from that click, and at an install level with all the information you want for that install. So we're very open on the communication. We're not that open on the attribution.
Anyone else want to chime in on that? Problems and difficulties in that?
It's just that easy with HasOffers.
Yeah, we don't really have a lot of issues. We don't really have a lot of issues. I think, you know, that if there's an issue for us, it's getting people started, maybe who haven't integrated with you yet.
Yeah.
We rely on you very heavily. So if we run into a new traffic source and they don't necessarily understand your platform or haven't integrated, it can be timely sometimes, and or time-consuming rather, to get people started. So if that's one of the challenges we face.
I think that's definitely also for us. That's one of the reasons we are on MAT and then using also HasOffers as a tracking platform, because it's so easy to scale it up and get integrated and get new clients on board with that. We are also like trying to offer the MAT over an agency account to new advertisers in order to have the right tool for them to actually measure in-event, in-app events. So this has been really easy for us to really scale it up due to the fact that your technology is really stable. So.
Thank you guys. You can pick up your checks in the back on the way out. But anyway, let's give these guys a round of applause. Thank you so much.